Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is like take 8 of this video, so hopefully I make it through. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I've been documenting my postpartum fitness journey for the entire year of 2020 now. So just a quick summary of what I'm going to go over in this video. I'm going to be talking about what I did differently this month and some things that were unexpected. This is like my year-end video. So I have spent the year, and particularly the past 4 months, refining and fine-tuning my programs. And so what I'm going to share today seems to be what has worked best for me, particularly in the fat loss part of this journey. If you're only interested in seeing my live weigh-in, live measurements, final results, pre-pregnancy gene try-on, swimsuit, dresses situation, all of that content, because today is December 28th, so I'm not technically at year end yet. So all of that content I'm going to put at the end of the documentary that I've put together, and I'm going to be uploading that here on YouTube in the first days of January, once I get around to being able to do my year-end measurements and stuff like that. So if that's what you're interested in, stay tuned, because that will be up in just about a week, maybe a week and a half. So with that said, I will start with what I did this month, and in particular the things that I kept constant, which is that I continued to lift for 5 days a week. I've been doing that for a couple months now, and it works really well for me. The second thing I have continued to do is I drink 3 to 3.5 liters of water a day. I love it. It's hard. I've learned that I need to, within the first couple hours of the day, I need to knock out my first liter. Otherwise, it is a struggle. And by lunchtime, I want to have knocked out my second liter. And then normally what I do is between lunch and dinner, I will just power down that third liter so that I'm not waterlogging myself anytime after dinner time, or else I will be up all night peeing. I'm already up all night with my 2-year-old still. I still go up with him 5 times a night on average. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's just made a lot more convenient if I'm not going up with him and having to pee all the time. Another thing I have continued to do is I've kept my macro spread consistent. So I have on average, 35% of my calories come from carbs, 30 from fat, and 35 from protein. The things that I've done new, so speaking of diet, I did drop my calories by 100 for this month. So since the middle of September, when I started this cut cycle that I'm on right now, I've been eating approximately 1,780 calories per day. I had a very mild weight loss goal for each month. I really only wanted to lose 1 kilometer of weight per month. And the reason for that is, number one, I didn't have a ton of weight left to lose when it got around to this time, but I really wanted to maximize fat loss and muscle retention. And also, I did not want to destroy my metabolism because I knew I wanted this cut cycle to be approximately 16 weeks. I think it was 15 and a half weeks. So that's kind of a long time to be on a diet. I did not want to stress my metabolism and force an adaptation. I wanted to take this really slow. But for the first 3 months of this cut, I was very active on our farm, but the snows have come. And so I finished up all the farm work at the end of November. So I knew I needed to do something this month in December to make sure I was maintaining the proper caloric deficit. So that's why I dropped my calories down to 1,680 per day this month to adjust for a decrease in labor and cardio. That was my cardio. And I replaced that cardio with walking the dogs almost every day this month. I walked them about 4.5 to 5 kilometers 6 days a week, let's just say. And that was my only cardio. And I'm not talking about hills. It was nothing extreme. It was just going a normal walking pace with my dogs through the woods, flat land. The last thing though that I did this month, which I did not plan on doing at all, was that I happened to get into yoga. I don't have the attention span for yoga. I don't do well with it at all. But I quit Facebook at the end of October and did not realize how much of my life was being eaten by social media. Once I knew I had an addiction, that's why I quit it. And it was difficult. But for the most part, it's just been a daily sense of complete freedom and liberation. It's been 2 months and I haven't looked back at all. But it's freed up a lot of time. So I've been able to like read and do a bunch of other hobbies and stuff. And I decided one day at the beginning of this month, I was really sore after a legs day and I decided to start doing some yoga. And so I found a channel on YouTube that suits me so well. She has a quick vinyasa flow. She adds in a lot of like strength movements to the poses, to the holds and stuff. So it works really well for me. Her name is Maris Aylward. Her YouTube channel is called Yoga Upload. I will put a link to it in the description box below. I do it like 6 days a week now. I love it. So that's what I did this month. In terms of unexpected things, there's 2 big ones. The first, and I posted about this on Instagram, was that I started to notice some changes by around day 10 of December. I started December feeling totally normal and strong. By day 10, I became cognizant of the fact that something was wrong. I was not sleeping well. I was constantly exhausted. I was starving. I was extremely unmotivated. I felt like wanting to just melt into my couch. I did not want to walk the dogs. I was forcing myself to walk the dogs. I love walking my dogs and having like me time away from the chaos of all the toddlers in the house and stuff. And also I was extremely sad and depressed and moody. So I at first thought it's the diet. I've cut my calories too much. I am in too much of a deficit. And then I thought, no, maybe it's that I'm anemic and I need to start taking iron supplements. I was already taking 5,000 units of vitamin D3, so I wasn't thinking it was that, but I started thinking about all these things and I'm like, you know what? I actually think I'm having seasonal affective disorder. And that day, literally, a news story was published saying that Sweden has had an obscenely abnormal lack of sunlight, even for this time of year. I guess there was this thing called an inversion. Don't ask me, I'm not a meteorologist, but it was some weather pattern coming out of Russia that caused a extremely long and extended period of cloud cover over Sweden. And when I started realizing that I was having these issues, it had been 6 weeks since we had had any sunlight where I live in Sweden. 6 weeks. So what I did was I just pulled out my old Lexapro. Here in Sweden it's called Premalex. And I took just a 5 milligram dose of that for like a week just to help like get me out of my funk. I immediately responded to it. And then we started getting sunlight. So I guess the weather pattern changed. So I took myself off the medication and I felt fine ever since. But another thing that's like specifically, I think diet and training related is that my menstrual cycle has begun to space out. In fact, my menstrual cycle has elongated by 1 day for each month that I've been in this cut, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm used to having 23-day cycles. I pretty much have 2 periods every single month around the year. It's been that way since after my first child was born. And I got my period at like 9 weeks postpartum with her, so it's been 4 years now of tracking, and my cycles have always been 23 to 24 days long. But they have now, I mean, it's cycle day 27 for me today, and I still haven't gotten my period. But I have started to spot, which means it's going to start in like the next day or 2. But it means I have like a 28, possibly even 29 day cycle this month, and I've not had a cycle that long since prior to 2016. So that's like a big development. I'm sure it has to do with the fact that I have stressed my body and maybe has something to do with the decrease in body fat, but I am not anywhere near a level of body fat that would put me at risk of losing my period. If anything, I feel like it has healed my menstrual cycle. Like now I have a normal average length menstrual cycle, but I obviously still have plenty of fat on my body to not like have to worry about hormonal issues. For that matter, I'm at now a body composition that is very normal for me pre-pregnancy. So I'm not like, I haven't done anything crazy, but that has happened. I lost all track of my ovulation this cycle because I ran out of OPKs. Normally I get a positive OPK at around cycle day 10, 11, 12-ish. And I had gotten all the way through to cycle day 14 and was still running negatives. So I really don't know what day I even ovulated this month, which is why I don't know when my period is gonna start, which might affect when I'm actually able to do my final weigh-in and measurements and stuff, but whatever, I'm getting off topic. So a lot of this year happened by accident. It was derailed unexpectedly because of Corona and having the kids home and all these lifestyle changes and no access to the gym, which I've talked about 1,000 million trillion times on my channel this year. But a lot of good things happened unexpectedly too. We got our home gym equipment finally, and then end of September was when I began the diet portion of this year, where I finally buckled down and started tracking macros. And that's honestly, you guys, that's what made the biggest difference. It was diet. It's all been diet. My problem this year was having not tracked macros at least for a couple weeks at the very beginning of this year. If I had just tracked macros, if I had just invested that itty bitty little bit of extra time and effort in tracking my macros, getting a diet, an actual well thought out, high protein, high fiber, high vegetable volume diet at the beginning of this year, I could have not worked out at all and still made huge progress throughout this year. And making that progress in and of itself would have motivated me to just do what I could with my home workouts. Instead, I was eating myself into a hole and then forcing myself to do subpar workouts because I was so unmotivated and discouraged by the whole thing that I wasn't even willing to put effort into researching how to train properly at home. There are so many ways to do progressive overload just from home. But my biggest mess up was I wasn't willing to put the time in. I was too lazy. I was making an excuse and saying I didn't have the time and I didn't want to be obsessive. And while both of those in and of themselves were actually true, the reality was I did not have the mental bandwidth to commit what I needed to commit in order to just get the ball rolling. So my biggest tip for anyone going into this thing is that just, even if you don't want to track for the whole time period that you plan on doing your thing, commit to tracking for just 1 to 2 weeks. It is crazy how much you'll learn about what you're eating and how wrong it all is. And for that matter, you really need to read into how much protein you should be eating, because if you think you're eating enough protein, I guarantee you, you're at least missing the mark by 50%. I thought I was eating enough protein. I was getting 50 grams a day, okay? It requires a lot of thought and creativity to actually structure a healthy, balanced diet with the amount of protein you need to maintain your muscle mass while you lose fat, okay? Track your macros. You have to want your goal 51% or more than you do wanting things to be comfortable and easy. As long as you want your goal just a little bit more than you want things to not hurt, then you will achieve your goal, right? So that's that. Now I'm gonna list my top 5 tips, which I've sort of already said in this video, and I'm gonna go into much more detail next year. I am about to start a reverse diet, which again, I will talk about in one of my first videos I post next year. But as I reverse out of the diet I'm in preparation for going into another cut phase next year, I'm going to be posting some weekly videos that sort of go into more depth about these top tips of mine that I have learned this year in case they help you on your journey if you are about to go on one. The hardest part about all of this was not the workout or the diet. It was not any kind of pain or misery in that respect. If you build a smart training program where you focus on quality lifting instead of quantity and all of this cardio garbage, and you structure a diet that works for you, you will not go hungry and you will not just be slaving away at physical exercise. If you structure programs smartly, this whole thing is very easy physically, okay? What's hard is the mental thing. If you don't have money to hire a coach and a nutritionist, you're gonna have to prepare for an incredible investment of time in a relentless pursuit of knowledge. And you have to want it. You have to be interested in it and want to learn all the things. In my documentary, at the end of it, I'm gonna list all of the top resources that I used that I absolutely could not have done this journey without. They taught me everything I know. So stay tuned for that. If you don't have the money for a nutritionist and a coach, this is all still totally doable. You just have to do the research yourself, because that's what a nutritionist and a coach will do for you. They will save you the time and the effort of learning how to do all these things. They will do it for you, okay? But it comes at a cost, right? So what cost do you have? Do you have time or do you have money? Maybe you can split it. Maybe you hire a coach or a nutritionist and then you do research on your own. There are ways to do this, but one way or the other, it's gonna cost you. But if you learn it yourself, you will have that knowledge forever, okay? It took me a long time to learn everything, but I have that with me forever. I'm never gonna need any coach or nutritionist unless I wanna go on to be like, to go on stage or something. Then I'm gonna need to hire someone who can like really dial me down and do the fine tuning. And yeah, I don't have my PhD and any kind of certificates or anything like that, but I know enough now, and I've fact checked, I've cross checked, I've wiggled my way into like resources online that continually pump out information, that I'm cool with just continuing being a self-taught, self-coached athlete. Tip number 2, diet is everything. End of story. It does not matter how healthy you eat if you're still eating more calories than you're burning, okay? Now, there are things like intermittent fasting and keto or whatever, like there are ways that will play to optimizing your hormones, optimizing your body to burn fat more efficiently. There are a lot of ways to optimize the results. They will never work though, you guys. It will never work if you are at the end of the day eating more calories than you burn, okay? So that's just it. If all you can do is figure out your maintenance calories and drop them by like 10, 15%, that will get you results, okay? Speaking of diet, high protein. High protein. I think I eat 130 grams of protein a day-ish. High fiber, it will keep you satiated. And with high fiber comes a high volume in vegetables. That will keep you feeling full and satiated, okay? A full belly means you're not hungry, right? And high fiber and high protein takes you a really long time for your body to digest those foods. It creates a higher thermic effect of food, which means you've got your metabolism going more throughout the day, and it will make you feel satiated longer. These are really, really important things when it comes to diet. Lifting. Forget the cardio. Lifting. You want to be maintaining your muscle mass, as much of it as possible, while you lose fat. If you are not lifting and you're only doing cardio and things like that, number one, your body will adapt to the cardio, right? So your metabolic rate will drop to meet your caloric expenditure if all you're doing is cardio. And on top of that, the amount of weight you lose will be like a lot of your lean muscle mass. And maintaining your lean muscle mass is one of the things that keeps your metabolism going, right? So you want to be lifting because you burn more calories throughout the day maintaining your muscle mass, right? And your metabolism won't adapt downward to your caloric expenditure so quickly. Planning and prep. Meal plans, workout plans. I have my workout plans written out in 3-week blocks. I make very minimal changes. I've pretty much picked my top compound movements, which I've learned about in my research, you know, the ones that activate as many muscles as possible. And all I focus on is increasing the weight load each workout routine, pretty much. That's all I do, okay? So I'm not like busting my balls trying to create all these crazy new ways to work out. It's really important that you have your plan going into your workout so you're not wasting your time flopping around trying to figure out what to do when you get to the gym. And meal prep, obviously. And by meal prep, I don't mean like cooking meals ahead of time, which of course is important. Like you want to have food prepared that you can go to, but it's also tracking your macros and having a general idea eventually of what foods you can Tetris in throughout the day so that you're not spending all your time like thinking and obsessing and stuff, you know, like once you have general meal plans in your mind, it's really easy to move things around and be flexible, and it's just a lot more adaptive to a busy lifestyle. Yeah, so those are my main tips. That's what I have, and it's nothing revolutionary. It's what every single fitness channel is going to tell you. Like, those are the things. And now I get why they say those are the things, because those really are the most important things in this whole journey. I will be uploading my year-end final results, like I said, at the end of my documentary in about a week and a half. So like first couple days of January. And then I will be documenting my reverse diet, which I plan for it to take somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks. And then I'll be preparing to do another cut cycle. And in particular, I think I'm gonna dedicate my next cut to the 75 hard challenge, because I just think it would be fun to try, you know? So if that interests you, stick around, like and subscribe. Otherwise, stick around for the documentary. I promise it will be a lot more entertaining with pictures and video and music and that kind of thing. So thanks for watching, you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.